We all hate traffic jams. Whether you're trying to get to work on time or just have a bit of fun on the weekends, queuing up for seemingly hours just to move a few inches is downright infuriating. This story is about the mother of all traffic jams, one so big that it created a new economy and authorities were worried that people stuck in the traffic might begin to starve. This is the China National Highway 110, also known as the G110. It's absolutely massive. It runs from
Qingtongxia,
thanks to a new extension, through a big portion of Inner Mongolia to Beijing. It's about 843 miles long, which is roughly the same distance as driving from Land's End to Groats. Since it's one of the major routes which is used to get to Beijing, China's capital, it's always been subject to a ton of traffic, especially since there'd been a rapid increase of ownership of cars in China over the years. The combination of more cars on the roads paired with an increase in lorries importing goods to Beijing to serve the expanding population began to put a huge strain on the highway in the early 2000s. By 2010, it hit tipping point. On Wednesday, the 14th of August, the traffic jam started to take shape. Traffic volume was an estimated 60% over the absolute limit, and ongoing construction work had cut the capacity by 50%. This meant the amount of traffic on the road was at more than triple its maximum capacity at the time. Ironically, many of the trucks which exacerbated the jam were actually trying to bring supplies to the roadwork site too. Unsurprisingly, this slowed traffic down to a stop, mainly between Jining in Inner Mongolia and Huai'an northeast of Beijing. The drastic narrowing of the highway forced drivers to merge into already gridlocked lanes, creating a massive bottleneck. With extremely limited alternative routes, drivers heading to Beijing were forced to simply join onto the back of the queue and wait it out. The traffic jam slowed thousands of cars down to a snail's pace, with many vehicles stuck in the jam, moving just a kilometre in an entire day. Worse still, the traffic had taken its toll on a number of vehicles, which broke down and further clogged everything up. In short, no one was moving anywhere. At its worst, the traffic jam was over 60 miles long and lasted for 12 days, making it without a doubt one of the worst traffic jams in history. People naturally became frustrated, tired, hungry and thirsty. Entrepreneurial locals saw the opportunity and sold basic necessities like food, water and cigarettes at astronomical prices. I mean, what are you going to do? Drive to the shop where it's cheaper? Goods were being sold left and right for 15 times their retail price, especially the bare essentials like bottled water. This new mini economy was proving fruitful for the locals, with some creating little shops which they could cart around on bikes, weaving in and out of the stranded cars. One driver complained that it was more expensive to be stuck in traffic than eat out at a restaurant. Mr. Zhang, one of the unfortunate victims of the jam, said in an interview that some of the sellers had become very aggressive. He said that they would hit your window with bricks if you didn't buy from them. Naturally, since there were no toilets readily available, the drivers had to go on the side of the road, a situation which presumably worsened with each passing day. With it taking as long as 5 days for a car to reach the light at the end of the tunnel and escape the traffic, many drivers made it their temporary home. After a few days of rising tensions from the drivers, over 400 police officers were sent to the area to calm everyone down and stop it kicking off even further. There was also a growing threat of theft. The Beijing Morning Post reported that 8 robbers attacked 6 different trucks one night, running off with around £7,000 worth of goods and cash. Many of the stranded people occupied their time by getting out of their cars and going on walks, as well as playing board games with each other. Chinese authorities tried to do everything in their power to ease the congestion, mainly letting more trucks at a time into Beijing. They also begged many of the Inner Mongolian trucking companies, instructing them to either pause their business or take a different route. This traffic jam wasn't a surprise for locals though. Gridlock traffic had become a way of life for them. So now we have a brief overview of possibly the most boring week ever for countless people. What exactly caused the 60-mile jam of all jams? The huge economic boom experienced in Beijing led to a massive increase in population and also car ownership. Along with more cars, they needed more energy, which mainly came in the form of coal. Inner Mongolia at the time had recently discovered vast new coal fields, which were immediately taken advantage of. In an attempt to quench Beijing's insatiable appetite for coal, hundreds of millions of tons of the stuff were being sent to the capital, which was constantly increasing as time went on. Many of these trucks were massively overloaded to meet the demand, and also lacked the proper paperwork which would have let them pass inspection quicker. Not only were these trucks headed for Beijing, but often just through it to get to the seaports on the coast of China. Pairing this with the restricted traffic capacity due to the huge roadworks and a load of breakdowns made this a perfect recipe for disaster. Since most of the factors are actually knock-on effects of the coal boom, I think it's safe to say that the mass transportation of coal is mainly to blame. The construction work was only necessary thanks to the huge pressure the trucks were putting on the road, which was definitely one of the main reasons the whole highway came to a halt. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I know it's a bit of a different video than my usual content, so thanks for giving it a chance if you're just used to my normal car stuff. By the way, a few of you were asking whether I'm going to make a Discord channel. I think it would be a very good idea, so stay tuned for that. I just need to make sure it's all set up properly, you know.